I've been hearing about Apex Legends for a while, a bit of time, which is surprising to me because I don't hear about anything. I still don't know anything about Apex Legends, but what I do know is that it's connected to Titanfall, and I did play those games. Well, one of those games, and I didn't really finish it, and it's been several years since I played it, and I skipped all the cutscenes. This video will probably be a lot me reading and being confused and getting sick of Apex Legends. So you're in for a treat. The Frontier War is over. After decades of conflict between the IMC and the militia founded to fight them, the region of space known as the Frontier can finally see peace. But liberation can come at a cost. The Frontier world were left barren by the war, and promised aid dwindled to nothing. With no way to support themselves, those who remained had no choice but to leave their homes. The brave relocated to the Outlands. So just immediately, they're setting up that the heroes of Titanfall just kind of left after their victory. Just taking all the lore, all the good guys, just everything good, and just pushing it out of the way. Which they can just do. The brave relocated to the Outlands, a remote cluster of planets on the fringes of the frontier. The Outlands are untouched by war and teeming with resources and opportunity. But life is cheap here, and danger lurks around every corner. Its pioneers, explorers, and outlaws used to spend their lives locked in an endless power struggle. Now, they settle their differences in the Apex games, a blood sport where legends from all corners of the frontier compete for money, fame, and glory. The Apex games were initially hosted on Kings Canyon, an island located on the planet Solace. Construction of the arena for the games commenced sometime in 2727, and was finished a year after which time the games presumably started. The arena at Kings Canyon has been used for 124 seasons, until an attack on the island's repulsor tower by Crypto allowed the entry of wildlife, resulting in a devastated arena. Crypto is Taijun Park. Orphans raised on the streets of Suotamo, Taijun and his foster sister Mila Alexander escaped a life of squalor by becoming computer engineers, designing drones used by the Syndicate to transmit the Apex games throughout the outlet. Oh. But 2 years ago, Taijun and Mila stumbled upon an algorithm that could predict the result of any Apex Games match, hidden away in the game's own computer systems. What? That caught the attention of the wrong people. The next day, Mila disappeared and Taijun was forced into hiding after he was framed for her murder? With his reputation destroyed in the Syndicate after him, he gave up his identity, his face, and his family in order to facilitate his redemption. Wanting to get closer to the people who framed him, Taijun planned to join the games, but thought he wouldn't be able to pass the game's qualifiers. He then hacked into the game's mainframe and put himself in their records as a legend. Which he can just do? Hack into the games single-handedly? That sounds too useful. Like, so useful that I can't imagine it not ruining the games. He then hacked into the game's mainframe and put himself in their records as a legend, but not before blowing up Kings Canyon Repulsor Tower to serve as a distraction. You know, a simple distraction, like how you cheat on a test by shooting a gun. This allowed the entry of hostile wildlife on Kings Canyon and disruption of the games. Now we're back on track. The match, then in progress, was halted and the legends evacuated. The Syndicate suspended the games after the attack and proceeded to make various modifications to the arena in order to increase viewership and contain the wildlife that invaded the island. Wait, so that sounds like a good thing. The Syndicate benefited from this, right? They increased viewership. They made an even greater spectacle. I feel bad for Crypto. Like, he broke into the games and is trying to hurt the Syndicate for ruining his life and killing his sister. But so far, all he's done is help the people. who killed his sister and ruined his life. I'm so sorry. Various disturbances were reported within the arena following the resumption of the games, which forced the Syndicate to relocate the games to World's Edge, another arena on the planet Talos. Following this move, a sponsorship was struck with the new Hammond Robotics, one of the companies that used to make up the now-defunct IMC. Were they the bad guys? This coincided with the entry of Forge, a legend sponsored by Hammond Robotics, in the introduction of the Planetary Harvester to World's Edge. Okay. Well, I don't care much for this Planetary Harvester, but I'm just gonna assume that Hammond Robotics is bad. Just putting that out there. Before his entry into the games, however, he was assassinated by Revenant. Assassination still exists? Whatever. Forge worked for a bad guy, so Revenant is probably a good guy, right? Let's see. Revenant is Caleb Cross. Revenant used to be human. He used to be the greatest hitman the Mercenary Syndicate ever had. He used to look in the mirror and see his human face looking back. Then one day, he finally saw what he had become at the hands of the Mercenary Syndicate and Hammond Robotics. A walking nightmare of steel and vestigial flesh? What a creepy way of saying that. Let me see. I had to see for myself, and okay, it's not good. They win. He's a good guy. I'll go back to the lore page. Don't have to scare me away. I would have gone back on my own. This, alongside the various reported break-ins on Hammond's facilities, and the fact that Revenant has a vendetta against both the Syndicate and Hammond, Jacob Young and Cheryl Machi found a way to contain the simulacrum by allowing him to join the games? What? Why would that work? Oh, yeah, because they want a new player character. Why did I even think there'd be another reason? This isn't Titanfall. It's just a battle royale. But wait, it is Titanfall. It is canonically Titanfall. What are they doing? Sorry. After some time, the games eventually returned to Kings Canyon, but an underground explosion triggered by Loba Andrade, a highly skilled thief masquerading as a high society socialite, destroyed a significant part of the island, including Skulltown and Thunderdome? I'm sorry, a high society thief and socialite just destroyed what sounds like the coolest parts of the map? This evil person deserves whatever comes to them. Which I may regret saying, but I am steadfast in this. For the time being. Bangalore hurriedly apprehended Loba. Let's see who's Bangalore. Bangalore is Anita Williams. Born into a military family where she, her parents, and her 4 older brothers all served in the IMC Armed Forces. That's the bad guy. Bangalore has been an exceptional soldier since she was young. She was top of her class at the IMC Military Academy, and the only cadet who could take apart a peacekeeper, equip it with a precision cock-up, and put it back together in under 20 seconds. Blindfolded. In the months following the battle at Gridiron, the IMS Hestia, with Anita and Brother Jackson on board, was attacked by unknown assailants. A bomb on the outer hull blew out a chunk of the ship, but not before Jackson shielded her, sacrificing his own life to save hers. Anita watched helplessly as Jackson was sucked out into the vacuum of space. After crashing on the Syndicate planet, Anita looked for both work and the brother she refused to believe had died, so they could begin the decade-long trip back home. Now she fights to raise money in the Apex Games, in the hopes of finding a pilot willing to take the epic trip back home to reunite with what remains of her family. Bangalore hurriedly apprehended Loba, but Syndicate PR head Jacob Young, alongside Hammond Robotics legal head Cheryl Amachi, arrived and afterwards announced Loba as the newest Apex legend. Do they always do that? Just take any random crazy person and put them in the games? Like, Revenant just killed a guy to get into the games, while Loba blew up a part of the map? This gave her an opportunity to begin her quest for the Broken Ghost. More specifically, for the pieces of it scattered across the Shadowfall version of King's Canyon? What? The Shadowfall version of King's Canyon. Okay, what is the Shadowfall version of King's Shadowfall was a limited time game mode available during the Fight or Fright 2019 event. In this mode, legends become shadows when they die, and must turn against the remaining legends before they escape. And that's canonical? That canonically happened. People, in all actuality, turned into shadows and had to hunt their fellow legends. Okay. Scattered across the Shadowfall version of King's Canyon, she mentioned that Revenant cannot find out about their plans. However, Crypto's drone was hacked by Revenant. Accusations of the supposed mole were thrown back and forth between Crypto and Caustic, ending with a smarty pants taking the blame as the whistleblower, as the real mole was able to avoid blame and keep trust with the group from the earlier incident. What? Gibraltar confronted the real traitor, Caustic, revealing the reason for him to lie and deceive the group is that he has skeletons best kept buried, but most importantly, to keep Watson away from Crypto. Who are these people? Meanwhile, Revenant and Loba came to an understanding, with him despising his unending existence and her wanting to kill him. Revenant expressed his intention of wanting to help Loba find his source code, the only organic part of his remaining, so she can kill him together. Together, the legends assembled all 9 pieces revealed to be the head of the Frontier War era simulacrum Ash, a pilot who used to work for the Apex Predators. What? Let's start with Caustic and work from there. So, Caustic is a crazy scientist who likes to test his acids on people and torture them out of curiosity. But don't let that make you think he's the worst. He also helped out Watson when her dad died. That is to say, he was in the room when 2 other people came in and helped out Watson when her dad died. On the other hand, Watson is the really smart nerd with a sad backstory. She considers Caustic, the madman, to be family. It's a sad backstory. There's Gibraltar, the gentle giant with a wild side. That's his whole thing. There's Ash, who was this... they were a member of the Apex Predators. Frick, I feel like I should describe the Apex Predators now. The Apex Predators were a group led by an antagonist in Titanfall 1 and 2. And if you're putting this together like me, that's a character from a popular game series in this game. Money. Give them money. And Kuben Blisk, the character from the Titanfall series, manages the Apex games. And the Apex Predators, but... what? You get it. Shut up if you're confused. Eventually, Loba found Revenant's source code in an underground vault on the planet Olympus. However, instead of terminating it or giving it to Revenant, she sent it through a phase runner. This is a critique to whoever writes the lore page, so I might take this out, but please stop saying things that only people who know the lore would understand. Because that's not who's reading your page. Implied to take it to Gridiron, as a way to take away what Revenant wants, which is his death. So phase runners are basically super fast magic train stations, and Gridiron is a bad guy run, radiation dense planet. Toxic. I don't know how that stops a robot from going there. Learning this, Revenant swore revenge and plans to take away what Loba may eventually love with all her heart, even if it means waiting for it to come. That's a lot of commitment. Why do they even care? Okay, they can't die. That's what they've been doing for the last 100 years or something. But for the last 100 years, they've been killing people. I don't see how killing people in an arena this time is going to be more fulfilling than living your life. That was such a swift turn. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, Crypto decided to let Watson know about his real identity, which helps mend their relationship. Okay, that's nice. After Ash's head was recovered and placed onto her body, she was delivered to Hammond Robotics, who, after extracting some code from her memory banks, released her. She was soon discovered by Pathfinder in a dumpster. Pathfinder is the robot with amnesia. Hold your applause. Thank you. Without any knowledge except for her name, Pathfinder takes her to the warehouse he woke up in, and they live together in Solace City. Eventually, a visit from Rampart accidentally triggers Ash's memories. Okay, so that's just random, her memories coming back after talking to Rampart. Also, Pathfinder calls her his girlfriend, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Accidentally triggers Ash's memories, which then alerts the attention of Blisk. After all the legends leave and Ash is alone, Blisk comes to the warehouse. Ash prepares to fight, but Blisk explains he was not trying to kill her. He then tells her an old friend of hers is back. Ash runs off with Blisk. Okay, and leaves a note behind for Pathfinder, thanking him for his help. Season 7, the game's got a new map, Olympus, Gibraltar, a gentle giant with a wild side, Lifeline, a smaller girl Gibraltar, and Octane, Lifeline's junky lunatic friend, tried to boot up an old robot to cheer Pathfinder up. The robot. But they first had to meet Lifeline's father and family. Gibraltar had to meet his ex-boyfriend, Nick, and Octane's dad tried to take over Lifeline's home planet with mercenaries. Then they booted up the robot, helping Pathfinder find out about the backstories of the legends, his creation, and how his creation is tied to the Outland energy crisis. That was season 7. That was season 7. Season 8, so this guy Fuse, and I'm gonna borrow from the wiki here, is a ladies' man, landsman, and all-around manly man. Fuse is a one-man wrecking crew, and he knows it. Fuse exudes joy. He's a laid-back, explosives enthusiast who's damn near covered in things that go boom. Fuse doesn't lack confidence, but he often lacks a plan. Mwah. Mwah. So Fuse has a childhood friend, Maggie, and in order to get into the Apex games, he has to leave her. He gets accepted, Maggie blows his arm off, he goes to the welcoming ceremony with the robot arm, Maggie blows up a few mountains and opens fire on an unarmed crowd of people. The usual. Maggie hacks the games, which is something people can just do apparently, like with no problem. So then Maggie demands Fuse's other arm. Fuse goes to meet with her a few times, and then she dies. That was the season. I don't know, nothing really happened. I think it was to bring Salvo, the place Fuse is from, into the Syndicate. In Season 9, a bunch of spaceships landed on Olympus and started sprouting indestructible vines. Now there's just a bunch of big vines, which is a big problem because they have to hold a ceremony for Pathfinder. He's not dead. They just want to honor him by throwing a party in the only place overridden with indestructible vines. They're poisonous if you touch them, and a lot of people touch them, so that's why it's a big problem. Caustic's mom touched them, Bangalore touched them, so they had to get all the legends together, find a cure to the vine virus, get the cure, and save everyone. That was the end of the season. That's the end of the season, but there's some other stuff I found. Like, Loba got friend-zoned. I'm not joking or exaggerating. Loba, our unlikely knight, who has saved the life of her princess and looks to her reward. Have you seen Loba today? She just woke up, for Pete's sake. I want a little bow chicka mau mau. Ha! Girl, you better check that at the door. Loba and I, we're just friends. Yeah, it's how the cards are dealt. That dialogue is stupid, and I find that absolutely hilarious. The narrator introducing Loba as our unlikely knight, Rampart asking about Loba before saying that she wants some bow chicka mau mau, Loba being literally friend-zoned, and the narrator saying, yeah, it's how the cards are dealt, is great. To transition completely out of that scene, the Wraith everyone is talking to and the Wraith you're playing as isn't the original Wraith, but actually a Wraith from an alternate dimension who just knows nothing, because in that dimension the IMC won in the Titanfall games and tortured her. Like a little jab to all the people who didn't finish Titanfall, me included. Well, if you didn't finish Titanfall, guess what? That's who you're playing as. The person you pretty much single-handedly caused immense suffering and pain because you couldn't beat Sloan, you sicko. Mirage and Valkyrie and Horizon all have motives that end when they win a season or a few seasons of the Apex games. To explain myself, the games have canonically gone on for like 130 seasons, and they don't just die after the end of a season. They're still alive in-game and in the cinematics. So once, I don't know, Mirage wins a few games, they'll finally leave and no one will be able to kill and play them anymore. No one will be able to play them anymore. That's what I meant to say. I'm just giving a random example. I don't have some weird personal vendetta against Mirage players or something for some crazy reason. No.